Breaking Mecca news. Breaking Mecca news. Breaking Mecca news. Let's go. We talking about the judge in the Karmelo Anthony's case has been recused. He wouldn't let the cameras in the courtroom. Then he went after the trial outside to the cameras and said that he was standing on the verdict. They didn't like the way that played out. He wound up getting it called back where they brought a new senior judge in. New senior judge comes in. He comes in. He looks at it. He takes him off the case. I'm going to break down to you why I took him off the case. I'm even going to play a news report on it so you can see. And then now they put a whole new judge on the case, and that judge is going to have to make the next ruling, and I'm going to tell you what that next ruling is coming up in a minute. But until then, thank you for attending class. Let's keep this party going. All right. Hit the like button. Hit the like button. Hit the like button. Hit the hype button. Hit the hype button. Keep it going. Hit the hype button. Let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go. So this is where we at. Karmelo Anthony's judge got removed from the case. We're going to play a news brief, and I'm going to give you the commentary, break it down. I'm going to take you into the dark psychological effect of how this affects Karmelo Anthony having to sleep the night before and what it felt like in that cell. From me who lived through that, I can't tell you what's in his mind, but I can tell you what was in my mind when I had to deal with that, because I did 26 years in federal prison and waited just like him. Then I'm going to tap into the parents of both families' mind of how they dealt with it the night before, so you understand how my parents went through it and my co-defendants' parents went through it. Now, we're going to sit back. We're going to enjoy the ride. Come on, man. All right, let's go. I ain't know where I'm at.
I'm Eden Shackle. Thanks for joining us. The judge who presided over the Karmelo Anthony case in Collin County was recused today. A new judge will take over tomorrow for Anthony's appeal hearing. The 19-year-old was convicted of murder and sentenced to 35 years in prison back in June for the 2025 Frisco track meet stabbing of Austin Metcalf. And today's ruling is considered to be a win for Anthony. Fox 4's Alex Boyer was inside of the courtroom and has details on what's next. Alex.
Hi, Eden. Yeah, certainly a win for Karmelo Anthony today as his legal team pushes forward for a new trial. As we now know, Judge Roach is now out, and a new judge who has yet to be identified will take over this high-profile case from here. Now,
all right, so you understand what's going on. A new senior judge came in, looked over what was going on with the motions that was filed by the attorney, saying that the Judge Roach should be recused, meaning taken off the case because he couldn't be impartial and fair. And then the senior judge looked at it and said that he will remove him from the case, but we'll get ready to break down why. Stay tuned.
like before, no cameras were allowed inside of the courtroom for this morning's hearing. Karmelo Anthony was wearing a green prison jumpsuit and handcuffs initially when he was brought in by the bailiffs. His hair cropped short. Anthony, who is now 19 years old, convicted of the murder of Austin Metcalf back in June and sentenced to 35 years in prison after a jury had rejected his claims of self-defense during a confrontation with Metcalf at a school track meet last year. Now, Anthony's legal team, led by Russell Wilson, argued this morning that a retrial was warranted in part because Judge Roach enforced overly strict courtroom rules, which really limited public access, and also gave a TV interview 2 days after the trial was over and well within the window for an appeal to be filed. Now,
all right, so what they're basically saying, the judge behind me that you see that they're showing, right? The judge limited the access for the public to have access to the courtroom, and you allowed under the Constitution to go to court by a jury of your peer, and the public is allowed to watch. He limited access for the public to watch because he didn't want them to see what was going on for whatever reason, not picking a side. But then at the same time, as soon as the camera was over, he ran outside like an attention whore and got under the camera and said that he stand by the verdict. And then now he's supposed to rule on if the verdict was fair when he already made a stance saying he stands by the verdict. So then how could you be impartial at looking if there was any errors that the defense attorneys, which is Karmelo Anthony's attorneys, is getting ready to put in, if you're going to sit there and say you stand by the verdict? Nobody knows what went on in the courtroom, but now we're supposed to take your word now that you brought your attention-seeking ass over to the cameras. And this is what it's all about. I mean, I ain't trying to diss them. I'm just telling you this because, like I said, this is a hood professor's class. This is the way I talk to the youth from my generation, from, you know, the kids that came up under them, their children and their grandchildren. They understand what I'm saying. So it's not to disrespect them. But that's basically what it is. He wouldn't let the cameras in the courtroom. But then when the court is over, he runs out there and he wants all the attention to tell his version. And his version is that he stands by the verdict. So if you already stand by it, you can't have a ruling on it and say that you're going to be impartial. You're going to look over it. So the senior judge came in, removed that ass, and then put another judge on there that's getting ready to come in there now. Now we're going to get back to the rest of this. Y'all caught up, class? Y'all, and first of all, I want to thank y'all for coming. Round of applause to all y'all that chose to come to class. This is a heck of a class today. Relax, relax, relax. I'm going to talk about the night before they went to court, the mental torture they had to deal with. But let's ride back into this.
Now, the judge sided with the defense and ordered that Judge Roach be recused. That led to cheers outside of the courtroom by dozens of Karmelo Anthony supporters who listened into the proceedings from an overflow courtroom and then marched and chanted outside here in the parking lot. I spoke with Pastor Freddie Haynes about the outcome.
To remain hopeful and prayerful that justice is indeed served. We are not insensitive to the fact that a life was lost, but we also don't believe that 2 lives should be lost through injustice. I'm blessed to have the family to want me to serve as kind of a pastor to pray for them, and he's paying a price right now. A life was lost, and so he is paying a price. I don't think that should go without being stated.
So Metcalf's family, who of course was also in the courtroom today, appeared.
Hey, y'all, first of all, we want to say rest in peace to Austin Metcalf and our condolences to the family from here at Unique Mecca Audio. Maybe y'all send this to them so they can see this, so that they understand that we understand over here at Mecca Audio what they're dealing with. This is not to pick sides. This is just to report both sides. I'm the hood professor, for those of y'all don't know. And let's get back to this so I can get into my commentary.
Stunned and obviously disappointed by the ruling. They did not have any comment as they left the courtroom. Now, keep in mind that this is just step one. Tomorrow, the new judge, who again has not yet been identified, will ultimately hear arguments from Anthony's same legal team, who is here today asking for a new trial, raising constitutional and legal challenges to the original trial. I, of course, will be here for that hearing as well.
All right, so that's where we at, so y'all understand, right? Now, this is the way we do. We ride over here, right? We ride. We take rides over here. We take rides. Now, we're gonna take a ride into the night before the courtroom doors. Now, we're in the cell, right? This is Karmelo Anthony, right? Me voicing what I went through that night dealing with that same situation. 19 years old, 35 years, state prison, same walls, same bunk, same steel, same number hanging over your head. 35 is all you keep thinking, and that's not an age. That's a sentence. Then somebody brings you some news. The judge who presided over your trial, the judge who watched the jury convict you, the judge who connected to the case that put you 35 years on your back, laid on a cold steel bunk in a prison cell, just got recused from the next stage of the trial. Now listen to me. On the outside, that sounds like a legal development. Inside that cell, that could sound like a door unlocking, not literally, psychologically. Because now Karmelo Anthony may be lying there thinking, maybe they saw something. Maybe something wasn't right. Maybe this new judge gives me another trial. Maybe another judge sees it differently. Maybe I don't have to do all that 35 years. And that's where this story gets dark. Because hope can keep a man alive, but the same hope that keeps you alive tonight can tear you apart tomorrow. If that courtroom tells you, no, go back and lay on your back in the cold steel on the cold bunk. Keep doing your time, Mr. Anthony. Those of y'all that want Karmelo Anthony to do his time and not win this, put it in the comment. And those of y'all that want him to win, put it in the comment, but both sides put why. I don't like to see the comments where people say, oh, one way they swaying and another one swaying another way and no one is explaining why. You're just swaying the sway. In this class, you put it in the comments. And just so you understand, I already got my little joint, right? This right here don't mean nothing. Yeah, I mean, if you look, they changing something up every day. So right now, you got to put comments, you got to put the emoji, you got to put the likes if you want the youth to see this. Now, that's the night I want you to picture. The night before. Not cameras, not lawyers, not television. A 19-year-old man alone with one word. Maybe I win this. You know how powerful maybe is in a situation when you're doing 35 years and you're going back to court after you was already convicted. That maybe is life. The jewel in that, right? Because I love when you see this bell, when you go forward, backward, whatever in the video, you see the bell, you know I'm getting ready to drop a jewel. Hope can give a man strength before anything around him has actually changed. But when your whole future is hanging on one decision, hope can become another form of pressure. You know what that pressure feel like? Hope can become that pressure. If you were 19 years old sitting on 35 years in a state penitentiary, could you stop your mind from taking you home before the judge ever ruled? That's the question. Let me say that again. If you were 19 years old sitting on 35 years in a cell, could you stop your mind from taking you home before the judge ever ruled? One ruling, 3 different nights. I'm gonna break down 3 different nights. If y'all, I know this content is fire. That's how they call me the cockiest kingpin, but now I'm the cockiest professor trying to save y'all from raising kingpins or being kingpins. Now I'm gonna tell you one rule in 3 different nights, right? Here's the first unique Mecca audio twist. One judge gets recused, one legal ruling, but that ruling creates 3 completely different nights. Karmelo hears possibility. His parents hear, maybe our son gets another chance. Austin Metcalf's parents, they may hear, we have to go there and go through this again. I thought this was behind us, it was over. They locked him away and threw away the key for 35 years, so why must I go back now? Is what his parents is asking. Same news, 3 different places, 3 completely different meanings. That's what people miss. A courtroom ruling doesn't stay in the courtroom. It travels into prison, into bedrooms, into kitchens, into prayers, into fear, into grief. One piece of paper can change the temperature inside 3 families at once. And the jewel to that is, a legal decision can create hope in one home while reopening pain in another. The law sees one case number. Families feel completely different lives. How can the same ruling feel like mercy to one family and another wound to another? Put that in the comments. Now, we're gonna talk about what Karmelo actually won, right? Now we have to keep this straight. Karmelo did not win his freedom. He did not win a new trial. His conviction did not disappear. His 35-year sentence did not disappear. What changed was this. Judge Roach, who presided over the original trial, was removed from handling the post-trial proceedings, meaning to see what happened before the trial. This is after trial, so they call it post-trial. So Judge Roach is supposed to look over his own actions when he already stood in front of cameras and said, I stand by the verdict of the jury. So how could he fairly look back? Do you feel he could fairly look back after making that statement? Put it in the comments. Do you feel Judge Roach could have really stayed on this case and been impartial? But the new judge never said that he was impartial, because I don't want to put words in their mouth and I don't want to twist this up, because it's a reputable, unique Mecca audio class. Now, Karmelo's new lawyers challenged Roach remaining in that position. After Roach publicly discussed the case, another judge, Sid Hurley, made the recusal decision. That's the legal part. Now I'm done talking like a courtroom, because Karmelo may not hear recusal granted. He may hear we won something. And when you haven't had many wins, one win can start looking bigger than it really is. That's human, especially when you're young, especially when you're locked up, especially when 35 years is staring back at you. Now, the jewel in that process feels enormous when you have been standing still. Progress and freedom are not the same thing. When you've lost almost everything, how hard is it not to turn one small victory into the ending that you have been praying for? So right now, Karmelo Anthony's thinking, man, I won, I'm going home. These are the thoughts that go in your mind. Now let's talk about the second sentence. That was Karmelo. Here's twist number 2. Karmelo may be serving 2 sentences tonight. The first sentence is legal, 35 years. The second sentence is psychological, waiting on a lawyer, waiting on paperwork, waiting on a hearing, waiting on a judge, waiting for somebody else to tell you what your future is going to look like. That's a different kind of time. Physical time moves slow. Psychological time, that can stop completely. You lie there. You replay everything. The track meet, the confrontation, the arrest, the trial, the jury, the verdict, the sentence. Now the recusal. Now the new judge. Now, tomorrow morning, your body is in one cell. Your mind is in the court already. That's what people don't understand that haven't been there. The jewel in that is, sometimes the hardest part of incarceration isn't knowing the sentence, it's waiting for someone else to decide it, whether the sentence will ever change or not. And my question to you right now, could you sleep knowing another man's decision tomorrow might change decades of your life? Could you sleep knowing another man's decision tomorrow might change decades of your life? Now, I want to ride into Karmelo's parents. The phone call they got. Now leave Karmelo's cell. Go home with his parents. Imagine a phone call. Imagine somebody saying the judge was accused for months. Maybe every conversation has been heavy. Lawyers, money, prisons, appeal, 35 years, their son being somewhere they cannot walk him into and simply bring him home. Then suddenly, movement, something broke their way. Something changed. Their lawyers want to fight. Maybe they're praying harder tonight. Maybe they're calling family. Maybe somebody is smiling, can't stop smiling. Maybe somebody is saying, don't get ahead of yourself, because parents know something too. Hope can make you reckless emotionally. You start imagining birthdays together, holidays, dinners, your son walking back through the door. No more 35 years hanging over his head. Then you catch yourself because he's still incarcerated. That's a brutal emotional balance. Celebrate without celebrating. Hope without assuming, pray without convincing yourself. You already know the answer. Now, the jewel in that is parents can carry a child's sentence without ever sleeping in the cell. Sometimes their prison is waiting beside a phone they cannot control. And that's what I want to ask you. Have y'all thought about that? That the actions that you cause bring your family in to do time with you, but psychologically, not physically. You're physically away, but you left someone psychologically trapped within a cell. How do you celebrate your son's legal victory when you still have to hang up knowing he's going back behind the door, back in the cell? Now, we got to talk about the Metcalf family. And like I said again, anytime I say their name, rest in peace to Austin Metcalf, and my condolences to the family. Please get this to them so they can see this, so they understand that someone understands what they're going through. We thought this part was over is what they thought. Now, cross over to the Metcalf family. Any principle means we don't erase them. Austin Metcalf was 17 years old. Their son is dead. They sat through the trial. They heard the testimony. They saw the lawyers. They waited on the jury. They came. The verdict. Then the sentence. Then 35 years. Maybe they didn't think the sentence was enough. Maybe nothing would ever feel like enough, because no number brings their son back home. But there's one thing a verdict can sometimes give a grieving family. Finality, not peace. Finality. There's a difference. You tell yourself, the courtroom part is over. Now we grieve without another hearing hanging over us. The court saga is done, is what the family thought. Then the phone rings, and then someone on the other end lets them know, I'm sorry to bring you the bad news. But when they called Karmelo's family, they told them, I'm happy to bring you the good news. The same news, two different effects. Now they have to tell Austin Metcalf's family, the judge got recused. A new trial motion is coming, and suddenly the case they thought was moving behind them is standing in front of them again. And they're wondering, when is this gonna be over? What did we do to deserve this? That's another kind of psychological cell. You don't want another courtroom. You don't want another jury. You don't want to hear those details again. You don't want your son's last day turned back into evidence. You know the feeling. Now, the jewelry in that, right? The jewel in that, the jewelry in that, the jewel in that, the jewelry in that. A verdict can close a courtroom without closing grief. And when the legal process reopens, a family may have to reopen memories they were desperately trying to survive. And my question to you is, if you already buried your child and start through one trial, you sat through one trial after burying your child, how would you feel hearing you might have to live through the courtroom all over again? How do you think the Metcalf family feel right now? Now, we riding. So we out of that. Now, we dealing with the word tomorrow. Tomorrow means two different things to these people. Now, here's my twist number 3. Tonight, both families are thinking about the same word, tomorrow. But tomorrow means something completely different depending on which side you're standing on. For Karmelo, tomorrow might mean another chance. For his parents, tomorrow might mean hope. For Austin's parents, tomorrow might mean reopening something they desperately wanted to close. Same courthouse, same judge, same hearing, different prayers. That's heavy. One family may be praying, give him another trial. Another family may be praying, please let this be over. And tomorrow morning, both prayers walk into the same building. That's the part people don't see. I watched my family go through this grief, and I don't want you to go through the grief or your families. You know what it's like. I'm gonna give you a story. I'm gonna take you on a ride. I don't even know why I'm gonna do this. I don't even know why I'm gonna do this, but I'm gonna do this. My baby daughter was 18 months, right? I'm in the courtroom, they got me handcuffed and shackled. I wound up, I go in the courtroom and I get a property bond. So they gave me a signature bond with a property bond for a little $100,000. Now, boom, lawyer signs, I'm getting ready to walk out the courtroom. On the way out the courtroom, my child is there with a mother. And while my child is there, 18 months of the mother hand spent a lot of time with the child. And as I walked up there, my hands behind my back, my child tried to jump out of mother's arms into my arms, and I had to try and catch her backwards with the cuffs on, and the marshals is grabbing my child. You know what that felt like? When my hands was chained behind my back and I couldn't even help my baby. And my baby didn't even realize my hands were chained behind my back. This is real life, I'm telling you. So if you feel this is sweet, they got my cell for you. I always like cell 228. They're usually in front of the TV cell, whatever federal prison you go in. So if you clowns want to go there, try and get 228 or cell 202. I just referred you to the penthouse, all right? I'm not even gonna charge you nothing, but let me give you the jewel in that, right? Now, the same tomorrow can look like freedom from one side and another nightmare from the other. That's why justice can't simply follow emotion. Now, my question to you is, when two families are praying for opposite outcomes, what is justice supposed to look like to you? Now, hope can become cruel. Karmelo Anthony has hope, but that could become cruel. Let's switch to the other side. All right, let's switch to the other side. Let's switch. Right? I feel like being on the other side right now. Right? Hope can become cruel. Now, let's get darker, because everybody loves talking about hope. Hope sounds beautiful, right? Hope sounds positive. Hope sounds like something you should always have, right? But hope can become cruel when you have no control over the outcome of that hope. Imagine Karmelo's night. Maybe he starts believing, not pretending, but believing. He sees another courtroom, another jury, maybe another defense tragedy, maybe him walking out years earlier, maybe his parents coming to get him. His mind starts building that movie, scene after scene. Then imagine tomorrow, the motion gets denied. What happens when that whole mental movie gets shut off at once with one word, denied? Nobody knows exactly how Karmelo would react, and I'm not going to pretend we do. But anybody who understands confinement understands this. Emotional crashes behind a wall can be dangerous. You have to manage disappointment, anger, depression, embarrassment, that voice inside you saying, why did I believe this? That's why I'm telling young people, don't put your life in a position where hope has to come from a judge. Now, let me tell you one before I get to jury. I got to tell you one before I get to jury. I'm gonna keep it short, you know what I mean? I'm gonna do it fast, keep it short, because I wanna give you the whole thing. If y'all wanna hear the whole thing later on, I'll give it to you in detail. But there's a dude, he found out that his mother died, mother raised him, been in the military, big martial arts, he does all this, and I think he was a Marine or something like that. Big underwater swimmer, swim for like 4 or 5 minutes, maybe even 8 minutes without an oxygen tank. Now, you rat bastards and flip-flop well in public trolls say something about that. Yeah, I just threw a big number out, but he swims underwater for a long time. But anyway, he finds out his mother died, that raised him, pushed him to do all the right thing, and then all of a sudden he goes crazy. And then next thing you know, I'm sitting in my cell, I just come back from the gym, I'm working out, I'm in the shower, the police come and lock me in the shower, and I hear the deuces go off and they yell lockdown. I'm like, what happened, what happened? And they said, you remember such and such from over the next unit? Said, yeah, well, he grabbed the police hostage. What? He grabbed the police hostage. If you want to hear that story, put it in the comments. I'll give you the whole thing. I haven't gave you all the prison story in a minute, but we're going to get right into the jewels. Hope can save you when it's grounded. Hope can crush you when you turn possibility into certainty. Now, my question to you, right? What happens psychologically when your mind already went home and the court tells your body it isn't going anywhere? This is why I don't turn this into a team sport. I'm not sitting here rooting for pain or either side. A 19-year-old young man is looking at decades. A 17-year-old young man is dead. One family wants another chance. One family wants finality. People outside get to choose sides, then shut their phones off. These families don't. That's the difference. We debate, they live it. And that's the lesson. This whole thing came from a confrontation that escalated seconds, maybe minutes. Now look at how many lives are still trapped inside that one moment. Judges, lawyers, parents, family, prison appeals, hearings, years, even us on social media following this. Everybody wants to talk about winning. I keep looking around asking, where's the winner? Who won in this? Do you think anybody won in this? Put it in the comments. And the jewel in that, right? I know this content is fire. Make sure you put a comment, give me an emoji, give me something, keep it going, keep it moving so the next people can see this. Violence can create consequences so wide that years later, everybody's still paying for one moment, for 3 seconds under a tent, 5 seconds under a tent. Now, let's keep this moving. That's why prevention matters before pride turns into paperwork. Now, my question to you, when one young man is dead and another is hoping a judge gives him another chance at life, where exactly was the victory in that? I'm gonna say that again, and please answer this question. When one young man is dead and another is hoping a judge gives him another chance at life, where exactly was the victory in that? How do you think the parents of the young man that's dead feel? How do you think the parents of the young man that's begging for his freedom back feels? Now, we're gonna ride into the night before, right? And then we out. So tonight, picture all these places. Karmelo Anthony inside a state prison, 19 years old, 35 years, trying not to read too much into the legal victory that he just got. His parents somewhere outside, maybe praying, maybe at church, maybe talking, maybe unable to sleep, maybe trying not to even imagine him walking through the door. Austin Metcalf's parents was somewhere else. Rest in peace, and my condolences to them again. Their son's still gone. The trial they hoped was behind them, suddenly moving again. Maybe wondering, how many times do we have to go through this? 3 places, 1 case, 1 night, and tomorrow morning, they all wake up to the same legal system, but they would not wake up wanting the same thing. That's what makes the story dark. That's what makes it human. And that's what makes tonight more important than the headlines. And we're gonna get to the final jewel. Before a judge ever decides what happens next, everybody connected to the case already has to survive the night before. Karmelo has to survive hope. His parents have to survive uncertainty. Austin's parents have to survive reopening grief. And my question to you, class, if you had to spend tonight in one of those 3 positions, one of those 3 mental minds, which one do you think would be hardest to carry until tomorrow? Now, let me give y'all 10 quick questions. I got to quiz y'all at the end of the class. You already know this is the Hood Professor's class. Round of applause. All right. And I'm sorry for keeping y'all over. I tried to make it 30 minutes. Come on, man. Please let me finish so I can get you all out of class. You can go back to your TikToking, you know? Now, if you were Karmelo, would you already believe you're getting another trial because your judge got recused? And be honest. Can hope inside prison become psychologically more dangerous than having no hope at all? Think about that one. Can hope inside prison become psychologically more dangerous than having no hope at all? Third question, should Judge Roach have stayed quiet publicly after the verdict? Or it didn't matter? Put it in the comments, why or why not? Question 4, does his recusal make you question anything about the original proceeding? 5, if Karmelo's rights were violated, should he get another trial, even if you personally believe he's already guilty? That one I know you're all ready to comment on. If Karmelo's rights was violated, right? Let's say they found out that his rights was violated, the judge made a mistake in the case, should he get another trial, even if you believe he's personally guilty? Question 6, how much punishment do parents serve emotionally when their child goes to prison? That's deep. How much punishment do parents serve emotionally when their child goes to prison? Question 7, how much should the Metcalf family be expected to relive? Question 8, I ain't even question 8, let me do that over. How much should the Metcalf family be expected to relive in the name of protecting a defendant's name? Question 8, is finality for a victim's family ever more important than correcting a legal, defective trial? Do you think they should leave this alone even if they're wrong, so that they don't have to disrupt the grieving process of the parents? Or do you think they should grant Karmelo a new trial because he's young and he should get another chance? Put in the comment which one you go with. 9th question, if Karmelo loses the new trial motion, will this legal victory make the disappointment even harder psychologically? Last question, if one confrontation leaves one teenager dead, another serving decades, and 2 families still suffering years later, what did anybody actually win in this? And this is definitely the last jewel of the day. Principles matter most when they force us to acknowledge pain on both sides without changing the standard. And my last question to you, class, is, can you support a fair legal process even when the result might hurt the side you emotionally identify with? That's what I want to know. Been on here long enough. Now I'm going to show you why I do what I do. You know what I mean? So you understand. This is a young brother, Murder Mook, top battle rapper. Follow him at Murder Mook, on Instagram and YouTube and everywhere else. All right?
Hey, what's going on, man? Murder Mook, Harlem. You know what it is, man. I just want to express how much gratitude I got for Unique. You know what I mean? I was telling him a story, telling him how I felt about, if anything was to go wrong with my career, rap-wise, if, should be slow, and I got so many opportunities to be able to do the wrong shit. When I watch Unique Mecca audio, I feel it, and to my soul, and that's keeping me farthest away from doing anything criminal. Anything criminal. He made me think straight, honestly. Made me think straight, because I've been watching him for about a year, like a year now, maybe. And it just took my mind way off of that. From a year ago, it got rough. For a year ago,
Yeah.
And from watching this, man, I just felt like you saved me. You saved me. And I just want to show my gratitude, and I want to say thank you, man. Unique Mecca Audio, anything you need, brother, from me.
All right.
Anything you need, man.
All right.
Hi. I watch Unique Mecca's YouTube, and it's amazing. Like, his whole story is so nostalgic. It's so like Harlem. It's so like 1980s. It's so 1999. I've been watching his channel for about 2 years, and it's very informative and it's real. You know, you don't really get the real deal from everybody, but with him, you definitely gonna get the whole real story. This is a Harlem legend, kingpin, legendary. I'm so happy to just even meet him and be in his presence. Like, his channel is very informal, and if you subscribe, you're gonna be just like me, a fan.
All right.
I'm like, oh my God, is that him? I'm all fanned out. Like, you know, it's such an experience getting the chance to meet him and, you know, being a fan of his YouTube channel and just following him for the last 2 years and knowing his story and seeing his interviews. And I support him 1000%. And I'm subscribed to his YouTube. You should go and subscribe as well. Amazing, amazing.
What you got from the channel?
History, how hard it is to be in jail, the right and wrong moves to make when you outside, how one wrong move will cost you a whole lot, to be better, to do better, a lot of stuff. You'll get a lot of stuff from his channel, you know? It's very informal, and you know, whatever that means to you, you'll definitely take a piece with you. Like, this is a good YouTube channel, honestly.
So who you on, where they can find you?
Okay, I'm Cora. You can find me at Instagram on Why Hate on Her, and yeah.
Let's go. Hey, yo, tune in to Mecca Audio, man. Unique, man. Listen, man, I'm a young OG. I knew him since I was young. I used to be in Mecca Audio Studios. Great, man. I'm Ra from Tupac Me Against the World album. You can check my credentials. This is a good man, real man, Mecca Audio. I've been on this, man, since I was a little young lad, man. Before Tupac album, before I even did the outlaw shit and all that, man. Holla at me, man. And tune in to Mecca Audio Unique, man. Holla at us, man.
All right.
You know.
Here with the OGs, you already know. Yeah. Unique Mecca Audio. If you ain't tapped into Unique Mecca Audio, I don't know what you tapped into. I'm talking about real streets. I'm talking about real entertainment. I'm talking about real YouTubing, real getting to that bag. But I'm talking about a real OG that changed their life, yo. I changed my life the same way. And real OGs like that push me further to change my life. You hear me? Come look. Look what's going on out here. This Harlem. I'm a Brooklyn boy. So I only tapping with OGs like Mecca, man. Because I'm telling you, if you're not tapped into Unique Mecca Audio, I don't know what you're doing, man. Show them the scene, OG. They playing themselves. Congratulations, you played yourself.
What's going on, people? What's going on, man? You got your boy Lodestone out here in Harlem. I'm from the BX. I'm with Unique Mecca Audio. You know what I'm saying? It's a good vibe with the OG. I advise everybody, if you want to hear real spill, real shit, no cap, tune in. Tune in and hear what the OG got to say, man. You know what I'm saying? He's gonna give you out the truth, man. He gonna give you that real shit, man.
What's good, y'all? This New York Chuck. Yeah, and this Erupt One. Yo, you know, we just here, we out here in Harlem, you know what I'm saying? We out here, you know, rock birthday party. You know, but this party right here brought out a lot of people, you know what I'm saying? And one of the people that this party brought out was like a cornerstone in Harlem, like, you know, I'm talking about with the music, getting money, doing all, and, you know, actually, like a lot of us, we took a page out of his book, you know, to get where we became in life, you know what I'm saying? But I'm gonna shout my guy out. Shout out to Unique Mecca Audio. You know what I'm saying? He bring y'all real street knowledge. He got all the gangsters on his pod. We Harlem, we the streets. You know what I'm saying? Tune in to Mecca Audio TV, man. On YouTube.
No doubt.
On God, yo. One love for Unique, man. We love
Shout
you,
out
bro.
to Harlem. Shout out to Jersey.
Tune in to Unique Mecca Audio.
I'm out here with my man Rudy. Tune in to Unique Mecca Audio, man.
Out here, my man Prince, man Unique, a whole bunch of other legendary gangsters and all. For anybody that want to know what it's like to be in prison, never been in prison, tune into Unique Mecca Audio.
All right.
We got this real
Rest
story.
in peace to Rudy Williams. Rest in peace to Rudy Williams. All right.
I just want to give a shout out to Unique Mecca Audio. He is so dope. I had the experience of actually meeting him in person. I've been a fan for 2 years, watching his story and watching his videos on YouTube. He is the bomb.com, Harlem, legendary, kingpin, real, official. As soon as I sat down by him, I knew like it was like a different energy, a different vibe. But then once I hear his voice, I'm like, oh my God, is that him? I'm all fanned out. Like, you know, it was such an experience getting the chance to meet him and, you know, being a fan of his YouTube channel and just following him for the last 2 years and knowing his story and seeing his interviews. And I support him 1000%. And I'm subscribed to his YouTube. You should go and subscribe as well. Amazing, amazing.
Cheers, cheers, toast the crime, toast the crime, the crime, the crime, the crime.
Fresh out the can of 26, he back on the strip, getting back in the mix. What he mentions a gift. You stand up 10 toes down, and I suggest you pay attention to this. Take a little gully posse and put it in Harlem. He cut from the bottom, came up from the bottom. Drop the book, you should go and get it. The Instagram page and the YouTube, you could go and visit. Then you could consider yourself LinkedIn. Sit front row and get Jews from a kingpin. How he went through it, so you ain't gotta go do it. To not pay attention would be stupid. Talking about a man that probably put your grandfather on. Probably the reason that him and your grams got along. A man that generated millions on the block, did his time, never squilling to the cops, Mecca Audio. Get it live like 2 G's in the 90s. Drop top beamer so shiny. I let shorty go, she was whining. Treat her like my past, she behind me. Spend a couple bands on the Dapper Dan. You be back again, getting green like a Packers fan. No cap, it's a roaring uptown. They be horning uptown, Dominican bust downs. Now we on the positive, we got a lot to give. Now you trying to stop the kids from being inoperative. So take heed, homie, lend a ear. He started in uptown, he gon' finish dead. But now it ain't about selling drugs, buying cars. It's about buying property to make the community ours, so we can give back to the